Xanthil for itches and a fan for hot flashes. A leak-proof water bottle and a stick for lip rashes. A pretty blue phone case with a door that swings. These are a few of my favorite things. When poison ivy bites, when my hot flashes sting, I simply remember my favorite things and then I don't feel so bad. Oh, got jazz hands going on. Hi, I'm Amy on A Lolly Life, and today we are doing one of my favorite kind of videos. It's actually a video about favorites. That's not why it's my favorite kind of video. It's my favorite kind of video because it is a viewer suggestion. Macy, I really love that name. I had very few dolls growing up, but one of them was named Macy because I love that name. Anyway, so Macy had a comment on one of my videos. She said, "This was exactly what I needed to hear today. You make my life better." And I was, hallelujah, thank you. Thank you. And then she went on to say, video ideas, because that's what I had asked for at the end. How to wash your dog. Do you have a dog? Yes, I do, Ranger. How to hang a picture, and your favorite things. Then I started thinking about your favorite things, and I was like, well, what is that? What kind of video is that? Like, I just don't know. So I just, I just started thinking about that and just left it in the back of my head. And this morning I got up and I was writing in my gratitude journal. Some mornings it is a little bit harder to think of things than others. And like, it wasn't that I was having a bad morning, it just nothing really was coming to mind. So I thought, what's been good in the last 24 hours? And the things that I came up with was a Xanthil, a fan, this was the one I was using, chapstick, water bottle, and I love my phone case. Yeah, so those were the things that I had written down in my gratitude journal. And after I wrote them down, I started thinking about it, and I was like, well, those kind of are my favorite things. My favorite things. I have a lot of favorite things, but those are some favorite things that I use all the time. And so Xanthil, I'm allergic to poison ivy. Actually, I know everybody's allergic to poison ivy, but somehow my body just really felt the need to like one up everybody on this, and so like I'm really allergic to poison ivy. I don't have to actually be near poison ivy. I can just like breathe the air that poison ivy produces and I get poison ivy, or I could like walk by somebody that breathed the air that poison ivy produces and I get poison ivy. Like, I always have poison ivy. It's usually not like big huge patches or things like that. I do have those several times a year, but from when, spring to fall, frost to frost kind of thing, I have poison ivy all the time. I have a little spot on my face right now. Here you go. A little spot on my face right there. Yeah, that. And I have 6 or 7 spots right now, actually. Poison ivy used to be something that was a major deterrent to me in doing things. I love being outside. I love hiking. I love just being in nature. I love mowing the lawn and just like the physical exertion of it, and just, I love those kinds of things. I was fearful to go outside. I was fearful to even let people who were around me go outside, because if they came back and had brushed through poison ivy and I happened to like pick up some of their dirty laundry to put it in the washing machine, I would have it everywhere. And so that was kind of where I was getting to in my life. And somehow I found this Xanthil. It's a poison ivy scrub, and I am telling you, it changed my life. I have poison ivy all the time, just like I had poison ivy all the time before. However, now I don't actually care. Like, I know exactly what I need to do to take care of it and to keep it from getting out of control. I don't have to worry about the fact that am I going to have to run to the doctor and get a shot? Or am I going to have to go take some steroids? Or am I going to have to do this to keep it under control? Like, I don't have to worry about that anymore. Oh. I will mention that Zanful is a little bit expensive, and they have this other kind of poison ivy shrub Tech New, and it's not as expensive. It doesn't work quite as well, but it works pretty well. And so I use this as like a pre-scrub. And so if I've been out mowing the lawn, or I've been walking anywhere that might possibly, or whatever, just as a poison ivy, something is like, oh, that looks like it's kind of starting to itch, maybe I should just wash it. And so I use this for those kinds of things. And then once it gets bad, or it's in a spot that I really don't want it to spread, then I will use this poison ivy scrub. I love it. Okay, and fans for hot flashes, because I have them all the time, and I've been having them all the time for like over 12 years. There have been points in time over the, actually years of those times off and on, where those hot flashes have been so bad that I would have more than 10 of them an hour. Like, just think about that, how often that would happen. And then I also, during that same time, they got so intense that some of the hot flashes would come on so strong and so suddenly that it would cause me to kind of have a panic attack. And so even though I knew that it wasn't gonna last and in a few minutes it would, it would go away, I would find myself backing myself into a corner and just like, don't touch me, don't get near me. Like, I just need a minute, just let this go away. It was bad. And that's especially hard when you have a young teenage, well, I guess he wasn't a teenager at some of those points, but a young son that is just kind of a in-your-face, and I love it, but he's an in-your-face kind of person. And I love that, because I'm kind of an in-your-face kind of person sometimes too. But it's really hard sometimes to explain to him, don't touch me, like, don't come near me, like, don't. And like, you could see in their face, I could see in his face that was like, why? What did I do wrong? I mean, and eventually, he figured it out and he understood and he knew, but it's just super hard. However, I have found out that a fan and a big gulp of water, when I feel a hot flash coming on, does wonders for keeping it from being super bothersome. And so even though right now my hot flashes aren't quite that bad, that doesn't mean I don't have some that are quite that bad. The thing is the fan and the water bottle, like, these are my coping mechanisms. I can't change the hot flashes. I have no control over that. I have tried so many things, and they are beyond my control, and the doctors don't have a lot that they can do to help me. And so all I can do is deal with it. But these things make it easier for me to deal with it, and these things make it so that most of the time I just smile through it, and most of the time it's not as big of a deal, because I know how to deal with it and I know what I'm doing. It's the same thing with the Zanful. Like, do I like poison ivy? Does it still itch? Absolutely I don't like poison ivy, and absolutely it still itches. It's still bothersome. But it is not controlling my life because I have a way to deal with it. The hot flashes are not controlling my life because I have a way to deal with it. Something else that I do is I have some little ticks, some little stims, things that I do without thinking, and I do them repetitively. One of those things is that I tend to touch my lip right here, just right underneath my lip, and so I just tend to, I don't know, like, I'll just be sitting there and I don't know what it is, but I just like kind of touch it all the time. And as soon as I notice that I'm doing that, I will stop myself. But the problem is that it is something that I do kind of reflexively. I don't think about it when I do it. And so it's not until I start realizing that it hurts because I've created a sore from rubbing it that that I realize sometimes that I'm even doing it. Because I'll be concentrating on something or whatever. And so chapstick has been a life changer for me because I don't have a little sore down there, because multiple times a day, sometimes multiple times an hour, I put chapstick on to keep it under control so that it doesn't get like all weird and red and like rashy and stuff. Because this is, again, something that I have been working on, but I can't control it. I do it subconsciously. And so even though I'm trying, it's past my ability to control at this point. That doesn't mean that at some point in the future it might not be, but at this point, I still have yet to conquer it. But chapstick has made it so that it doesn't have to rule my life. It just is something that happens in the background, something that I'm still working on, and something that is a non-issue. Something else that is kind of bothersome is I have had some struggles with migraines over the last, I don't even know, it's only been probably 7 years, maybe 8 years. And I never had migraines before that. When they first started, I did not know what was happening. I seriously thought I was dying. And it was so bad that I was okay with that. Like yeah. I figured out what they are. I have some medicine if they get particularly bad, but I don't want to take the medicine. I would rather deal with it in other ways. And so only when it gets really bad or I realize that it's really getting out of control that I do that. And so I have kind of looked around and to see what kind of things trigger the migraines. And I know that MSG triggers migraines for me. Not every time, but most of the time. So guess what? Chick-fil-A, it's out because I don't want to get a migraine. And that's a bummer. Whatever. I'm very careful about that. Something else that was a trigger was that I would get dehydrated. And so guess what? Water bottle. When I carry it around with me, then I remember to drink and I keep myself hydrated better. And so the migraines become less of an issue, because if I get myself dehydrated, then migraine coming on is a very strong possibility. As a matter of fact, when a migraine starts to come on, one of my very first things to do is I get something like a Gatorade, something with electrolytes in it. It's not Gatorade, but it's an electrolyte drink, and I guzzle it like as fast as I can. So, you know, less than 2 minutes or whatever, less than a minute, however long it takes me to just guzzle that down, I just guzzle it. And sometimes that can like keep the headache or, you know, the migraine from becoming an issue. Another thing that was causing issues with my migraine is when I would carry a purse and I would carry it on my shoulder, and the weight of the purse, even though I took things out of it and I was trying to be careful that it wasn't heavy, carrying a purse frequently would like pull down on my shoulder, and it would help the migraines and not me. And so I was looking for all sorts of ways to not have to carry a purse. One of the ways that I came up with was a phone case without the phone in it, because I'm using the phone to record. A phone case with a little door so I can put my credit card and my driver's license in it, and I have those things and I don't have to carry everything in the purse. And this has helped me cope with some of the things that, you know, things that are problems for me, and make them into, in essence, non-issues. Are they still a problem? Absolutely. But they don't rule my life, and in that way, they are non-issues. Those are my favorite things. Those things that are, they're kind of tiny. Some of them are extra tiny. And they're sort of utilitarian. Like, they have a purpose, and that is why they are around. But they make my life better, and they make my life easier, and they make it possible for me to push through struggles. That is amazing, and that is why they are my favorite things. So there you go, Macy. Those are my favorite things. Probably not what most people would think of, because most people are probably not gonna be, my favorite thing is chapstick. But there you go, my favorite things. Thank you, Macy. I think you're amazing. I hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you next time on A Lolly Life.